I think it was like Australian Flame or London Broil or something like that. Hi there, yo folks. Welcome back to the Homestead. I'm Sean the Modern Yeoman, and it's hard to believe, but September is upon us. Things are cooling down considerably, and I dare say I smell a hint of bonfire in the air. And while we aren't in full-fledged fall just yet, it will be coming here very soon, before I know it. And that means I have a lot of cleanup duties to take on here at the homestead and preparing for some pretty big moves. Things like preparing the meat chickens, getting our tractor here in a few months, and getting ready for pigs, hopefully early next year. Suffice it to say, as you can see behind me, I've been doing a lot of work in the garden, taking out the fence and clearing some things out, getting ready for some major cleanup. We'll go over that all today in our monthly Homestead Update and Walk-Around episode. Now, with all Homestead Update and Walk-Around episodes, you know how this works. Grab your favorite hot beverage, your sturdiest pair of boots, and let's take a walk. There's a saying in the homestead world that chickens are the gateway drug. There's a saying in this world that chickens are the gateway drug to homesteading. And if that sentiment is true, then I think it's fair to say that I've OD'd on them. I also think it's fair to say that I'm loving every minute of it. Currently, we have 53 chickens on the homestead, separated into 4 different flocks. There's the main laying crew, the laying crew that I've had since September of last year. There's the new laying crew, the teenage laying crew, who should hopefully be integrated into the main laying crew here within a month or so. There's the Kramer chickens, who have been very well behaved, probably much more behaved than any of my other chickens. And then, of course, there's the meat chickens. Now, despite some initial fears around the sheer number of chickens that we have to deal with here, I found the actual upkeep and maintenance of the meat chickens to be fairly straightforward. The tractor, while heavy, isn't that hard to move short distances, and even though chickens will sometimes escape during the moving process, it's easy to corral them back inside where the food is. Compared with the laying breeds, they're fairly docile, so it's not too much of a headache getting them to cooperate with me. Anytime there's a gap underneath the tractor, I'll just plug it up with old straw or hay, a really great tip that I got from a commenter. I change out the straw bedding in the Kramer coop every day anyways, so I always have plenty around. Also, as alluded to in the intro, Lucky, the odd chicken out, is back in with the meat chickens. She really wasn't doing too well all by herself in the hutch in the main layer run, so we decided to let her back with her meat friends to keep a close eye on her. She seems to be holding her own just fine. We'll keep watch on her anyway. Speaking of the Kramer chickens, I decided to open up their laying boxes and fill them with straw. Well, they haven't started laying just yet. I'd imagine it's only a matter of a few weeks before they do, at the most. I also threw in some golf balls to serve as decoy eggs, something that chickens see as encouragement to lay in a particular spot. Quick update on the garden. If you've watched the channel, then you know that the past few weeks have seen a period of neglect in the garden due to my working full-time, a full-time night job from around 4 in the afternoon to midnight or so every day. Now, granted, I was only in the job for about 2 weeks before I fortuitously found a way where I didn't need to continue doing it and I can come back to the homestead full-time. But in that time, the garden really started to fall apart. It got weeded over. A lot of the tomato plants and other things started wilting. Things were just not looking good. So in a spirit of starting afresh, I've started to renovate the garden. The first thing that I did is took the fence down and removed all of the logs that were surrounding the fence. They were just kind of a breeding ground for ants, and weeds grew up against them. It was really hard to keep the weeds under control with those logs. The only logs that I've kept are the logs that are surrounding the herb garden, as you see right here, just because we're going to keep that mulch. I'll need to go in and clear a little bit of the crabgrass that's poking out, but by and large this has stayed pretty clean in terms of weeds. So we're going to keep the logs around the herb garden, but other than that, no go. I also took the fence down, like I said. I'm going to bring that back up. My friends Jay and Cheryl of Celtic Roots Farm were super kind and actually donated a gate for the fence. So I'm going to get that gate going right next to where the hose is, so it'll be very easy for me to take the hose in and water plants as necessary. All of this stuff, all the tomatoes, the okra, a lot of the peppers, I'm going to start harvesting in the next few weeks. Until then, we started growing winter greens, so things like arugula, spinach, cabbage, things like that. And they're starting to go in the beds, as you can see. They're already getting going. And as well as that, as I showed in the last episode, I sowed buckwheat and field peas in these 3 beds right here. And hopefully they start germinating here in the next day or 2. I only sowed them 2 days ago. They haven't really taken off yet, but hopefully they will soon. So the garden is in a state of renovation at the moment. I'll have a fence up again here within the next few days, and I'll weed in between the beds. I'll get that all weed whipped. I'll weed in the beds. I'll harvest most of this stuff, clear it, and I'll probably sow a cover crop in these beds as well. But enough to keep me busy during the days is getting this garden buttoned up for the fall and the winter. So I wanted to give a quick update on the bench that Dad put together. Dad is actually out and about right now, but I am sitting on his handiwork. Now this is the bench that was designed by Matt from 731 Woodworks. I'll include a link to that video in the description below. And this thing is amazing. It's actually been out here for a few days, and as you can see, we put some outdoor pads on it. We got some outdoor pillows so they can stay in the rain. Dad put a nice coat of, I forget the name of this color.
It was not accurate.
I think it was like Australian flame or London broil or something like that. But either way, the color itself for the sealant looks really good, and it really complements the deck that Dad and I put together a few months ago. Got here, and so this is a perfect little outdoor space, and it's just icing on the cake. It's finished. I feel like this is a complete deck now that this is here, and it kind of corners it out. And I think the plan is eventually Dad is going, I'll have to ask him when I see him again, but I think he's going to build out some steps on this side. Right now there's a little plastic step up thing that he's putting there, but I think eventually he's going to put some steps there. So this not only is a seat, but it kind of doubles as a railing. So we're really excited about this. This looks perfect. We'd kind of gotten the beginning of the process of him building it. But this is the finished product, and I, for one, think it looks great. What do you think, Holly?
It's awesome.
You like lounging on it?
I like lounging on it.
We've got this umbrella up. I think this is kind of perfect. It's still kind of warm, but as things get cooler, I think the plan is to put like a little fire pit down here. I think it's going to be perfect. Well, that's all we've got for this September edition of the Homestead Walk Around episode. I hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with us today. Like I said, there's a lot that I need to do to catch up, but I think I've already made a pretty good bite in terms of the amount of work that I've been able to accomplish just in the past few days. It's almost like I have a saying that represents that feeling. What is that saying, Holly?
Slowly, slowly.
Until next time, thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you then.